welcome to another episode of Barry Harris Masterclass Reviews presented by Vision School of Music. I am your host, Michael Haynes, and I'll be taking you on another exciting journey as we delve into the world of the Barry Harris system. This is episode 002, and it's entitled Diminished 7ths, the Foundation. This is going to be a mini series that we'll be starting. It's going to be a 3-part series where we'll be looking first of all at the actual recording of a video that I took on the 4th of February 2020 at a Barry Harris class that I attended in New York City. Then we'll actually look at the origin and the derivatives of the diminished 7th chord according to Barry Harris. And last and probably the most important part would be the application of these concepts as we analyze a classical piece of music, as we look at a jazz standard and also at a pop piece, and apply the diminished theory that I believe is the backbone of the Barry Harris system. At this time, I'd just like to take time out to say hi to Michael Labash, one of our new subscribers. Michael Labash said, keep the concepts going. Absolutely. Barry Harris, I believe, is one of the most, if not the most important educator that has passed our way and has opened the doors for a lot of jazz musicians and musicians in general, including myself. He has expanded my ability to analyze music and to improvise and just, to be a better musician all in all. I would say hi to Hugh Welch. Hugh Welch is an old friend of mine that just dropped by to say hi and to say thanks, and I appreciate that, and nice to hear from you. Hope we can hook up and do some music in the future. I say hi to Francesco Manifredi. Francisco said or asked that if I can go step by step. Glad that you appreciated my approach to the Barry Harris system, and I will take time out, especially in the upcoming sessions where we'll be looking at the origin. Part 2 will deal with the origin and the derivatives of the diminished 7th chord and how it applies to the Barry Harris system. We'll be looking in part 3 at again, as I said, we'll be applying this to classical pieces, jazz standards, or at least one of them. And here, a piece of your choice, a popular piece that we can look at. I will take this time out to encourage you to subscribe to our Patreon. You'll see the link in the description below. And on our Patreon, I'll be posting all of the videos that I recorded at the classes I attended. I will not be able to address all of them in these reviews. So if you join the Patreon, you'll be able to see all of the videos, and you might be able to learn something or ask me to explain or to, research, because I have access to a lot of the older students of Barry Harris, and I can get an answer for you. And so all of those videos, some of which you'll never really see on these reviews, will be accessible in the Patreon. So without further ado, let's dive right into the class of February the 4th, 2020 in New York City.
Now let's explain some of this stuff to you so you know. We're talking explanation. Watch. Here's a diminished 7. Play C diminished 7. Now, this talk of music, and this you will not learn from any teacher in this whole universe, because they do not know. I'm going to show you stuff that they do not know, and I know they don't. I've traveled the world, I ain't found one of them that knew. Not one. Okay, we know this. The Lord knows at the time you live with a dominant. What for dominance?
B, D, and F and A flat.
That's right, B, D. So why should that take so long? If I say, what dominance come from that? You say, Lord, one note at a time. Lord, one note at a time. Lord, you see. Hit the chord. B7. Go back. Go to E flat. G7. F7. Go back. Now that's what you get there. Now watch this. See, Schoenberg said that. I said, but.
Okay, great. So let's review that part. First, we start off with the C diminished chord. The diminished 7th chord, we know, is a succession of minor thirds. We'll be looking more into this in the in part 2. So here we have C diminished. C diminished is also the same as E flat diminished. It's the same as F sharp or G flat, as we like to say as jazz musicians, G flat. Diminished is the same as A diminished. They're all the same notes, just different inversions. So starting with the diminished chord, we lower one note. We get B dominant 7th. And B is the dominant of E. Great. Then we go to the E flat, we lower that, and we get, or D7, and D is the dominant of G. We should be able to substitute this for the dominant B. That takes us to E. We should be able to do D. Should be able to take us to E as well. Next we go to G flat or F sharp, lower to one note, and we get, that's F dominant 7th, and F is the dominant of B flat. So we go, again we should be able to go to E from here. This is supposed to be a substitute for the B7th. Next we have, we lower the A and we get, or A flat dominant 7th, and this is the dominant for D flat. Alright? It could also be the dominant for D flat minor. So again, let's substitute that for the B. Or the major. So there you have it. Let's see what else there is. What else happened on that night?
Why the hell did he say move the note up? So play the C diminished 7th. Move the C up a half step. Hit it. You see, right there, you learn a movement right there. Da da da. That's right. Using all the stuff we said. Right?
This is on a B7.
Right?
B7.
Now, okay, then one person can say, this would happen.
Oh, that's a B7.
You start on the E.
You're also inquisitive that you say something like, I'll be talking about that, and then you'll say, well, how do you get major sixes? You know how you get major sixes? No.
Two notes.
Two notes.
What two notes?
Two middle.
The middle notes.
Consecutive. Any two consecutive.
Any two consecutive, right.
We'll give you what? Major sixes. Either way, that's the connection
Those are
that
the
you
two.
played a minute ago.
Okay, let's look at this. So starting with the diminished 7th chord, we raise one note. And this actually gives us E minor 7, E flat minor 7, flatted 5th. Just by raising one note. And that is going to happen with any one of the notes of the diminished 7th chord that you raise. The note that you raise it to is actually the flatted 7th note. And it gives you the minor 7 flatted 5th, or you can call it the minor 6. This is G flat minor 6. Or you can call it G flat minor 6. You can call it E flat minor 7 flatted 5th. And, if you check it out, all of them would be the same thing. Let's raise the 2nd note. This should be an F sharp minor 7 flatted 5th. F sharp minor 7 flatted 5th. Correct. Or we can call it A minor 6. Let's go to the next note. We raise that up, and that will give us an A minor 7 flatted 5th. The note that we go to is the 7th note. So if you're familiar, the 7th note is actually always a whole step below the root note. Okay? So we go, this is A minor 7 flatted 5th. A minor 7 flatted 5th. So that's the chord right here. Just use that to take me to G minor. Alright, we'll be doing more of that as we go into the applications. The last one we go to, we raise this one here. This will give us C minor 7 flatted 5th. C minor 7, that's the flat 5th. Alright, C minor 7 flatted 5th. Next, we look at how we can get, as he says, the major 6th chord. And we get the major 6th chord, as he said, by raising any two consecutive notes. So we start with the first one. That's familiar, will, be familiar, obvious. If we raise the E flat and the G flat, half step, we end up with C6. We lower it back, we get the diminished. Let's try an X2. Let's go two consecutive. C and E flat. Take it up, and we end up with, that's an A6. A6. So we see the two notes that you raise actually would give you the 3rd and the 5th of the chord that you're going to. Alright, let's try this out. We go these two. So this will be the 3rd and the 5th of the new chord that we go to. And we raise these two. Yeah, 3rd and 5th is E flat. Correct. E flat, major 6th. We go with the next two, which would be the A and the, we're going to raise the A and the C, a half step. And that's going to give us a G flat major 6. There you have it. Now let's proceed. Let's get back to the video.
You know it? The C6, no, C6 goes to the diminished and it goes to the F6.
Right.
No, you're supposed to stay right there, man, and just play C, E, G, A, and move to E and G. One more time. That's where you get that from.
Right.
Now somebody's gonna say, see, but this is what they do. They love to ask questions. they try to catch you. See, like in Holland, there are 20 piano players can play, and I mean they can play. They try to catch you. They get out of here. They don't know this stuff. You think classically they might know some of this stuff. They don't know. They know nothing. Just so you know. Now we know what a diminished scale is. What is a diminished scale?
It's the two diminishes.
Put together.
Okay, so before we go on to that, let's look at these movements that we just passed through. Barry Harris always speaks about movements instead of what we call like chord progressions. Like, you know, you see here you have a chord progression that is a 1, 6, 2, 5 chord progression. You hear Barry Harris talking about movements. One of the things that he says is that we must learn to play horizontally. That's movements, right? How you move from one note to the next instead of just playing vertically, if you want to look at it that way, by just going straight to the chord, thinking in that way, thinking vertically, you know, C chord, we go to an A minor chord, we go to an F, we go to a G, and so forth. You know, you think about how do you get to the A minor? How do you get to the F? Right? And then how you get to the G and so forth. It's all about movements. So one of the movements that he said we should be familiar with is by raising the note 1/2 step. We can take it back and then we drop it. And you can actually make some kind of music from that. Like, something like that. What if we put it at the top? Let's do it from the top and see what happens. You know, you go like, something like that. Well, how about that, you know? Right, you can do something like that. Now, the other movement that he spoke about there, that is going using from the major 6 down to the diminished. This becomes a diminished, and then you drop the same 2 notes. So you move in these 2 notes, the E and the G. You drop it to E flat, G flat, and then you drop it to D and F. So you get, and I can see using this in a piece, something like, yeah, you know, that's a movement right there. That's good. Sorry. Great. And so let's go on as we go on to the next section.
The B, D, F, A flat is one diminished, and the regular diminished is C, E flat, G flat, A. You put them together, and that's a diminished scale. Don't give it on that dumb ass half-step, whole steps. See, don't say none of that half-step, whole step nonsense. That's what they say all over the world. Half-step, whole step, whole step, half-step. They don't even know that half-step, whole step, half-step is one diminished. They don't know. They think because you say one thing, that means another diminished. No. See, if he's playing the C diminished 7. Now, if he went from the C to the D, that's a whole step. Do it. So now, you notice there's two diminishes make a diminished scale. Right. Everybody should know it. Never say half step, whole step. You say the one diminished gives you tonic of four of the dominants, right, and they form a diminished. Right. So you got two diminishes and you put them together in the scale. Right. Now, what's important about this? Let me show you how important this is. That means B7, D7, F7, A flat 7. Look at them. Watch. You should know. Thank you. You should know that each one of you should know that you have to run B7. Who do you play with first?
Your family.
Your siblings. Right. Your brother and your sister. So B7, D7, F7, A flat 7, that's family. So you got to know how to run B7 into D7, B7 into F7, B7 into A flat 7. Right. Why would I run B7 into A flat 7? You couldn't tell me.
What would you run what?
B7 into A7, A flat 7.
Okay, so let's look at that. The diminished 7th scale, it says, as we look at it, the diminished 7th scale, as you say, some people say you have two versions, like you have the C diminished 7th scale. This is the one that they refer to as whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Right? And then you can go, let's not, for clarity, let's start a note lower, right? Right, which goes half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. Now, if you just look at it in isolation like that, whole step, whole step, you lose a lot of information. And, you can see Barry is like really upset with that approach. He was very passionate with the things that he did. But if you look at it as being here, it's made up of two diminished chords. C chord, C diminished, and B diminished. You'll see that, whether you go half step, whole step, or whole step, half step, whole step, half step, it's still the same. It's the same scale, same combination of notes. Right. And as we delve more into these scales, the derivatives of the diminished chord, we'll be dealing with this scale, which is it's an octatonic scale, 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just started this one on C, but you could have started it here. Right, so there we have it, the diminished scale starting from using two diminished chords. Let's proceed back to the video.
Tritone. Get out of here. Somebody give me the answer.
Flat 2 dominant into a flat 7/7.
Minus 7.
The 1.
It's E flat half diminished.
B7?
Who said that?
A7?
Wait,
E flat half diminished into A flat 7.
say that.
E flat half diminished into A flat 7
Right.
is the same as B7 into A flat 7.
Right.
Say
See,
it again.
now, say now, you know what you did just now? Stop. Get your hand down.
Yeah.
Do what you just did. Now
Very.
you're starting to learn what the music is about.
Right.
But why would I run the B7 into the F7?
Because
Because it's a tritone. So I should know how to run B7 into F7. Why do I run B7 into A flat 7?
because you're playing E half diminished.
You said E flat half
But B7 is an E half diminished.
E flat half
When
diminished.
you see those two chords, then you can think B7 into A flat 7.
You're doing right. And you can solo on B7 into A flat 7.
Right.
It ain't what you think it is, it's some soloing
Right.
from the scales.
Can you say that again? The B7 to the A flat 7? What was the reason
When
you couldn't do that?
when you see in a song E flat half diminished going to A flat 7, you can just think of the E flat half diminished as a B7 and solo on B7 going into
Wait, whoa. Now see the watch. Why? Why? Answer me a question. Why? See, now here's where you're supposed to be smart. Why would I say E flat minor 7 with a flat 5 go to A flat 7? Why?
because it's part of the
It's part of our system.
it's part of the
It's part of our system.
Part of
it's
our
part of the E
system.
major scale.
Part of it.
They're both in the E major scale,
Part of it.
right?
C sharp minor.
They're both in.
What he's saying, that's right. No, okay.
They're all related by the diminished.
Huh?
They're all related by the diminished.
Wow.
Not on the major scale.
Not
It's
good.
half diminished on the
No, but
7th.
answer me this. Answer me this. Why? You know why you got that E flat minor 7 with flat 5?
F sharp minor 6. Because it's the 7th degree of the E major scale.
No.
4 minor 6 and 5 7.
There's only one scale that is found.
Now harmonic minor gives you diminished 7, not half diminished.
There's only one scale. Y'all keep talking, I get lost. So I lose it.
So you're going to explain why the E
You can think
Because, let me tell
flat
you,
half
because that E flat half diminished is found on one scale.
Which one is that?
One B,
B7.
B what?
B7.
B what?
B7, which is E major. B7 is E major.
This scale?
No. Play me
B7
a-
scale.
Play me a B major scale.
That's got a that's got the B flat, but you
Now let me,
that's a
I
problem.
gotta explain this right to you. If you take every dominant, and you look at the dominant and you say, what's on that dominant? If you look at C7, you're gonna find a E half diminished.
Right.
Now right now we're gonna say that's the only place you'll find that E half diminished.
Right.
So E flat half diminished, D sharp half diminished, which is the B7.
You can go that far.
I mean, build on the third of B7 is D sharp half diminished. Right? So,
Yes, I
what are we
know.
trying to say? What
Well,
are you trying to say?
it's all looking at the same way. If you're thinking in terms of a dominant,
Watch,
you're thinking of
I'm just
B7.
saying-
You're thinking
I'm
in terms
saying
of tonic, you're thinking
Every seventh scale has a half diminution. Not in the, there's not in
Well, a
any,
major has it on.
not in any, well, you know, we know seventh scale is a major scale, we know that. We know that seventh scale is a major scale, right?
It's on the
Don't
fifth
go through
degree of
stuff with
major.
that. But right now, what you're supposed to say is this. The only place you're gonna find that E flat half diminished is on a B major scale. A B dominant scale, I should say.
Right. That's that.
See, so that means Anytime you see G minor 7 flat 5, what dominant would you play against it?
G flat 7.
E flat.
That's right.
But the half diminished is also the tune of the harmonic minors.
Oh yeah, but see the harmonic minor sneaks in.
Oh yeah.
See, because what we got to do, watch. See what's weird about the harmonic minor is this. The harmonic minor can lead you to the major. Like F harmonic minor can lead you to F major. It's stuff you gotta know. So you gotta know it. All we talk about now is 7 scales. We know every 7 scale is a major scale, so I don't have to say it's a major. I'm talking about 7. On the third of every 7 is found a minor 7 flat 5. And it's found only on that scale. No other scale. I'm talking only dominant 7 scale. Because it is found on the harmonic minor scale, a different thing.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah, there's 2. That's right. But now we know. Watch. We know their family, and look at the way it works. I'll show you how it works. You got the C diminished. You got the B7. B7 takes you to what major? E major.
E major.
There it is. B7 takes you to E major. How did they modulate? Play that C diminished 7. Play E flat to G.
There's no A flat.
Oh man, where am I at? No, we do it. I'm
C,
sorry.
E flat, G flat A.
See, I'm looking at yeah, I can't even see.
C, E flat, G flat A.
Okay, G flat to F. And go to B flat major or B flat minor. This is classic.
Right.
But it's our thing too.
Right.
Because we are classic.
Okay, so let's recap that. So looking at the half diminished chord. So this is E flat half diminished, which we got from the C by raising the one note from the C diminished chord. Now the question is, which dominant 7th does this belong to? And it's B. So you see the related, you raise it up and you drop 1, you get the tonic. And this one actually gives you the 9th of the chord. So this is like a B 9th. Okay. And it begins on the 3rd of the dominant 7th chord, the dominant 7th scale. Now there's something, that is important that was kind of mixed up in the discussion there. And it's like, the B major scale as it relates to the C sharp, not the C sharp, the C diminished chord. We see a lot of, funny things going on here. For instance, the C does not belong to the B major scale. Right? So we'll say, okay, this does not belong to this scale, but with the Barry Harris system, don't forget, we have 8 notes. It's octatonic. We will see this clearly if you look in C. It's like, you've got that added note. And when we look at the B major scale, and we think of it, first of all, as being the dominant, or we try to make it into a dominant 7th scale, we now start thinking about what? The E. E major. And in terms of E major, again, in Barry Harris system, we always got to think about the 6th. So it's E major. 6 would be our home chord. So for the E major scale, we would have to add this other note here, which is the 6th. right? Which is the flattest sixth note that we always use in the, what we call the major sixth diminished scale, which we'll be dealing more with. And I guess most of you are familiar with when it comes to the Barry Harris system. So here that C note would actually be part, which came from the dominant 7th chord, would be fine because it now, what about that note? Right? That A sharp. How does that relate to the dominant 7th scale? You'll be seeing that a little later when we go into the part 2. How this note is also very useful when it comes to the dominant 7th chord. Right? I'm going to leave that there as a teaser for now. We'll be looking more into that as we go into part 2. So we did some of what he did there in terms of movements, starting with the diminished. And then we can also use the E flat half diminished. You know, you would want to use this like if we're doing a 2/5 to a minor. You know, this would be D flat minor. The dominant would be A flat. So if you want to do a 2/5, it would be the D minor 7 flat 5th. And then we go to the dominant into the minor. Now that bit might be a little confusing sometimes if you try to analyze it, but if you think of it as being part of the B major scale, right, when you go there, on the B dominant 7th scale, it frees you up. And in other, to take it even further, you can feel free to actually introduce the C note in that. Here we see the C as being part, the leading note for the B flat minor. So here ends this review. The next part, I'll be doing some more interpretation as it relates to these concepts, and then in the last part, we'll be applying this to some pieces, application, harmonic analysis, improvisational opportunities using the diminished. So thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe to the Patreon for more videos, all of the videos recorded at the Barry Harris sessions that I attended. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot for me to learn. I wouldn't be able to share all of them in the Barry Harris Masterclass reviews. So go across to our Patreon. The link is in the description below. Subscribe and you'll have access to all of the raw footage. This is Michael Haynes saying peace out, be good, share the love.